we'll talk soon, but hopefully I'll see you at that show on the 20th.
The last day of freedom.
The last day of freedom. Oh God.
Bye, guys.
Okay. Bye. Okay. Well, everybody out there, thank you for watching. We got a lot more to come tomorrow. Big News Wednesday with J.R. Jackson on Big News Wednesday. So everybody prepare for that. Franny will be here on Thursday. We're going to see if we can get Brett to do a second day on Friday after what happened on yesterday's show, but we'll find out about that. For now, though, stay safe out there, stay sane out there, and we'll see you soon.
Welcome. It's indisputable. I'm your host, Rashad Ritchie. Good to be with you. We have a lot on the agenda today. Breaking down news of the day, none other than the incomparable Sharon Reed. Always fascinating to have her brilliant analysis. Top story of the day, Ohio police gunned down a 15-year-old child. Put up the picture full mass. Hell of a story. Ohio police have released few details since 15-year-old Jasmine Tucker was gunned down by an officer armed with a rifle outside Miller South School for the Visual and Performing Arts. Authorities say that just after 11 p.m. on November 28th, two officers parked in their patrol unit at East Avenue and Vernon Odom Boulevard heard the gunshots ring out. Those officers exited their squad car and started searching the area and encountered the young Tucker, who was, quote, walking from the area where the gunshots were heard, end quote, according to the Fraternal Order of Police. The officer started running after him, and one fired his long gun, striking Tucker. The police released body cam footage of the shooting, but portions of the video are hard to make out since the camera is obstructed by a view of one of the officer's rifle. Viewers are unable to see what Tucker was doing before he was shot. The first 30 seconds of the video, which show the moment the cop pulled the trigger, also lack audio. So it's difficult to determine the number of shots fired at the 15-year-old child. Sound is absent from the beginning of the video because of a feature that excludes audio when officers first activate their cameras. The footage does show multiple officers at the scene, some with their guns raised, and when audio finally filters through, viewers can hear the moments when they start shouting, quote, put your hands out to your side, after Tucker was already shot. Several minutes passed before the officers approached a wounded Tucker, who is laying face down on the ground, and administered medical aid. Footage shows one cop handcuffed the teen, then unzipped his pocket where he finds a handgun. Tucker was later pronounced dead at a local hospital. So during a press conference, the local police chief, his name is Brian Harding, did not provide straightforward answers the community was hoping for, but instead stated that he does not have, quote, all the facts just yet. Harding said that he doesn't yet know why the officer fired at Tucker, how many times Tucker was shot, and whether the officers gave the teen any commands before shots were fired. It's also unclear why it took so long for officers at the scene to render medical aid after the shooting. Keep the chief up. So the chief comes out and voluntarily does a press conference. In the press conference, he admits he knows nothing of what his cops did, nothing. He doesn't know why they decided to shoot at him. That's a question, chief. That's a simple ass question to the cops who work for you. And if they're not able to provide you with an answer to that question, because you do have a standing protocol, you have a standing CO commanding order. If they can't tell you that they fired those shots under the protocol of your commanding directive for that department, why are you doing the press conference? And the reality is, if they were within your protocol, sir, you would have said it. If they actually followed your command, you would have told the world. But they did not, did they? Quote, even after viewing the videos, there are many things we do not know. I know There are many in our community who will have questions and concerns related to the timelines or the timeliness of the body-worn camera activation, the delay in rendering aid, and the shooting itself. I hear those concerns, and my hope is that the investigation will provide more clarity, Harding said. Now, chiefs and other executives in law enforcement, they do this often. They point to the video as if they have just as much information as you do in the public. They act as if we're looking at the same information and trying to figure this out. Well, the truth is they are the authority who has all of the information, and all of the individuals who are in question work for that authority. They also have the authority to investigate and to provide information as they choose. But once again, they want you to think that all they have is a video, and based on that video, they can't make any conclusions because they just have what you have. There's more. Authorities also have not released the name. They decided to withhold the name of the officer who shot the young Tucker, but said he has been with the police department for nearly 5 years. He and his partner have been placed on administrative leave. As for the reason the officer had a rifle drawn, Harding stated that the department's cops will respond with rifles rather than handguns when they know a suspect is armed. 2 shell casings were recovered from the scene that officials say are currently being analyzed. The Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation is leading the probe into the shooting. The police have launched a separate internal investigation. Let's go to the mayor of the city. Mayor Shamas Malik said in a statement, quote, in hindsight, the amount of time that expired between the shooting and the initiation of physical aid to Jasmine is deeply troubling to me. Due to the angle of the body cameras and the bright light shining on Jasmine after he was initially shot, it's hard to make out from the videos what exactly happened leading up to the shooting and immediately following it. A gun was recovered from Jasmine's zipped up jacket pocket. Given that, why did the officer decide to use his weapon? Keep the mayor up. See, the mayor just provided a point that has to be analyzed probably within judicial context. He said the young man's weapon was inside of a zipped, isolated area on his body. So if that's the case, that means that the 15-year-old posed absolutely no, what it is called, imminent threat to the officer who fired the fatal shots. Now, family members of Tucker, who was a freshman at North High School, shared their devastation at the teen's death. Quote, Jazz was my sweetheart. He was with us at my house always. From the time he was a baby, and there was nothing he wouldn't do for anybody, and I miss him. Tucker's great aunt, Connie Sutton, pictured, said, I couldn't help my baby, and it hurt to see that nobody helped my baby. Tucker's mom, Ashley Green, said. The mayor points out significant problems. Obviously, the rendering of aid, the lack thereof in a timely fashion was one of them. The fact that seemingly there was no immediate threat for the officer or officers involved. So both of them are actually suspended on administrative leave. And then the police chief provides a press conference, but does not provide details to the press conference as if somehow he can't find this information out for the community. Sharon, I know this is a troubling story. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are, you've never been more needed. You've never been more needed, Doc. And I'm not just trying to wind you up. The point you made about a gun in a zip pocket is so crucial. Why someone had to use a long gun and shoot a 15-year-old dead, that's the key question here. And I don't know about probable cause either. Shots fired, and the AP reported days ago that they encountered Tucker and began chasing him. Maybe the deceased teenager fired those shots that they claim to have heard. Maybe he didn't. None of it matters. He should be alive. From what you just referenced and drilled down on, the key points, The police chief should not bother to open his mouth and hold any kind of press conference until he knows some basic information.
That's right. And he knows obviously more than what he said at the press conference as part of the spin. The mayor at least pointed out some of the issues that the community is asking questions about while the chief is ignoring it. We will definitely bring updates as they come. We're going to stay on top of it. Well, seemingly he's caught, put up the picture for a mass suspect arrested in the horrific assassination, as they're calling it, of the UnitedHealthcare CEO. Luigi Mangione has been charged with murder in last week's deadly shooting of Brian Thompson, CEO of UnitedHealthcare. The 26-year-old, who was identified earlier as a person of interest, was arrested on firearms and other charges in Pennsylvania after being spotted at a McDonald's in Altoona. During the manhunt for the suspect, officers claimed they found him with fake identification, a weapon similar to the one seen in video, and a manifesto talking about the healthcare industry. So officers in Altoona arrested Luigi Mangione on unrelated charges at a McDonald's there after a customer alerted an employee who then called the police, according to the officials. Quote, a Pennsylvania resident saw something early this morning at McDonald's and said something to our local police. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro said, praising the resident as a hero. The officers questioned Mangione, who was acting suspiciously. According to court documents, the Altoona officers found him sitting at a table in the back of the McDonald's, wearing a blue medical mask and looking at a laptop with a backpack on the floor near the table. When the officers asked him to pull down the mask, they recognized him from photos released to the media. Quote, my partner and I recognized him immediately, Altoona Patrolman Tyler Fry said, told reporters during a news conference Monday night. Quote, just from what we saw in the media with photos, videos, we just did not even think twice about it. We knew that was our guy, end quote. When the Altoona officers asked Mangione for his identification at the McDonald's, he gave them the New Jersey ID, according to an affidavit submitted with a criminal complaint. When one officer was checking the ID with dispatch, the other asked Mangione if he had been to New York recently. And that's when he became quiet and started to shake, according to the affidavit. That really invoked a physical reaction from the suspect. Altoona Deputy Police Chief Derek Swope told reporters Monday night, quote, he became visibly nervous, kind of shaking at that question, and did not really answer it directly. So that statement alone really said a lot. And the suspect did not have to say a lot after that question to show that, he was very nervous at that point. Mangione provided his real name after he was told he would be arrested if he lied about his identity, according to the affidavit. When an officer posed the question, why did he lie about his name? He allegedly said, I clearly shouldn't have, end quote. Let's put it up. Officers did find a gun and a suppressor that were consistent with the weapon used in the shooting of Thompson. Police said the gun found in his backpack appeared to be a 3D printed ghost gun. Conservatives love those, by the way, with a loaded Glock magazine, clothing, and a mask consistent with those of the suspect in the case were also recovered, according to the police. Mangione allegedly went dark in the 6 months prior to the shooting. He was in regular contact with friends and family until about 6 months ago, when he suddenly stopped communicating with them. He had been suffering from a painful back injury, friends said, and then went off the radar, prompting inquiries from friends and family. In July, one man tagged a social media account that appeared to belong to Mr. Mangione and said he did not, or that he had not heard from him in months. Quote, "You made comments to me for my wedding, and if you can't honor them, you made commitments, to me for my wedding. And if you can't honor them, I need to know so I can plan accordingly," the man wrote in a now deleted post. So he was charged, obviously, on Monday evening with 5 counts in Pennsylvania: forgery, firearms, not to be carried without a license, tampering with records or identification, possessing instruments of crime, and false identification, law enforcement. He is expected to be extradited to New York to face charges there. The authorities told CBS New York that the process could take days, possibly weeks. The reactions have been mixed, with some surprised that the suspect shooter is an amateur. Janine Pirro stopped Jesse Waters after he implied that the fate might be waiting for him in prison. Here it is.
I don't think anyone's ready, Brian. Maybe you are, Brian, in a different way. But this guy's not ready. He's way too soft. He's going to get annihilated on the inside, and good. If he's not going to get the death penalty, maybe someone will do him justice behind bars. That's all I have to say about that.
You should stop there.
Right? People say that a lot.
Yeah.
Right?
These guys are something else. Here's the dynamic. It's very sad, isn't it? The death of a CEO. There are some people who are celebrating this. I do not agree with that. I take the philosophy of Dr. King when he said, "You cannot use darkness to eliminate darkness. Only light can do that. You cannot use evil to eliminate evil. Only righteousness or good can do that." There's an us and them mentality, of course, and you all, those who care about life, you all are the light bringers to the world. You bring light to the world. Never forget that. There's a reason why you stand opposite of their ideology. In the midst of fighting them, do not become like them. They win in that case. We have to remain properly attuned to the reason we care about life. The industry of healthcare is a scam. People have been paying into a system that, one, is unaffordable. 2, don't fix a damn thing. They barely engage in health management, much less health itself. The system is holistically broken. The system would prefer us to blame people who are pawns in the industry or the system of healthcare. The reality is, even those who make a little bit of change, a little bit of money, they are pawns as well, willing more so than others, but still pawns. All right, Sharon, thoughts here?
Yeah, I'll start with the healthcare industry. Tom Hartman, a popular radio host of Progressive, has explained its history in racism all the way back to a German import, if you will, a gentleman who became quite popular and went on to work for Pfizer and others, and talked about how if you just underinsure, don't insure Black people, they'll be dead in a couple of decades. He was just sure of it. And we're still dealing with the same system today. I agree with you. Taking the life of Brian Thompson, the CEO of UnitedHealthcare, you become what you despise. So Dr. King was right, and so are you, Dr. Ritchie. I will say this, one other caution for the media who wants to preach to people. You're getting it wrong when you say things about this suspect, like, but he was so privileged. He went to an Ivy League school. He was at a prep school before that. He was the valedictorian, as if only people of lesser means can commit heinous acts, allegedly. The elites in the media do talk down to people and spread stereotypes that harm others.
Well said. Great point. We'll bring updates as they come. All right. Well, we've seen it all. Banking while Black, walking while Black, swimming while Black. Now, opening up a bank account while Black will get the police called on you, put it up full mass. This person is literally trying to hand them money. Michael Waller was trying to open up 2 business accounts at the bank he had already been banking with in Missouri, and ended up falsely accused of fraud and having the cops called on him. The latest example of banking while Black. Waller is now suing Commerce Bank, accusing the bank of racism and retaliation based on the color of his skin. Now, let me give you the background to the lawsuit. According to the lawsuit filed last month, Mr. Waller entered a Commerce Bank branch in Overland Park. This is a municipality in the Kansas City metropolitan area. This happened June 20th, 2023. He wanted to open up 2 business accounts, but was told by a white bank employee he needed more paperwork. When Waller returned the following day with more paperwork, he did return the following day with more paperwork, but the same bank employee again told him he needed more paperwork again. So he returned again on June 27th with the additional paperwork. Now, let me remind you, Commerce Bank is a member of the FDIC, all right? This is a federally insured banking enterprise, which also means they have to follow anti-discrimination laws or they could lose the utilization of that great FDIC protection. But the same white employee still refused to open his accounts, demanding to know why he did not choose a Commerce Bank branch closer to his home. No, you cannot. You cannot open an account here, end quote, the bank employee said. Why? Mr. Waller demanded. Are you prejudiced? Question mark. The white employee then reported Waller to the bank's fraud investigators department and called the police, who pulled up to the scene as Waller was leaving, making him fear for his life. Now, I'm speculating, but here's what I believe happened. I do think the bank employee was prejudiced against Mr. Waller. But when Mr. Waller called it out and said, are you prejudiced? Basically saying, are you racist? That really did it. One thing we have learned here, a racist does not like to be called a racist. That would do it every time. So he starts to engage in a process of making sure this man is forwarded to an investigative authority and he calls the police on him. Now, if he believed it was fraud authentically, he had 3 other opportunities to forward this to an investigative unit or call the police, but he did not. He simply seemingly wanted to stall or stop Mr. Waller from opening up an account, making it arduous to do so. Fortunately, the cops did not seem to escalate the situation, allowing Mr. Waller to drive to another Commerce Bank branch in Kansas City, where he again tried to open his business accounts, but was once again refused, with the branch manager telling him that he was under investigation for fraud. Why? Because it's in the system now from the first bank. There's more. Waller closed his personal account at Commerce Bank the following month and was able to open his business accounts at another bank, the lawsuit states. Perhaps the initial missing paperwork was that Waller did not register his business with the state until June 27, 2023. But that was also the same day he had the cops call on him for these false accusations of fraud. Perhaps the initial paperwork was that Waller did not register his business with the state until June 27, 2023. But that was also the same day he had the cops called on him on false accusations of fraud. The registered businesses are listed in court records as Michael's Gifts for You, LLC, and Waller's Lawn Care Service, LLC. Documents pertaining to the businesses were stamped and dated by the Missouri Secretary of State office that same day. But Overland Park, municipality where the branch is located, that not only refused him service, but called the cops on him, is less than 5% Black, while Kansas City, which is where Waller lives, is more than 25% Black. Quote, couldn't you have opened an account closer to where you live? The white bank employee asked him, according to the lawsuit. Now you're starting to get the context of the statement. Why are you here at the white bank? We have a Black bank closer to your home. Why are you here? Okay, there's more. Listed as defendants are Mary Jo Burdett, the manager of the second branch who prohibited him from opening an account, as well as Ann Branson, who works for the bank's complaint department, but did nothing to follow up on Waller's complaint, the lawsuit states. Defendants treated plaintiff differently, with more negatively than others because of his race, the claim states. The lawsuit also states that Waller suffered damages including mental anguish, emotional distress, pain and suffering, mental distress, embarrassment, degradation, humiliation, anxiety, loss of employment, and enjoyment or loss of life, enjoyment of life, as well as lost business income and profits. So, seems quite extreme, right? Almost seems like a conspiracy. It is interesting because given all of the protocols that Mr. Waller had to go through, and he seemingly was okay with bringing in the additional paperwork, when he actually is certified with the state, and by the way, there is no mandate that you have that registration. Some banks require it, some banks don't. Some banks are okay with opening up your account pending that information comes through. But the bottom line is the man was not committing fraud. That's the issue. He never committed fraud, and there was no evidence of fraud whatsoever. You having a lack of documentation when opening up an account is not a prerequisite to a fraud case, unless you have another agenda. They probably thought Mr. Waller would just let it go and bank at the black bank. But see, Mr. Waller, well, as you can see, he don't play the radio. Good for him. Sharon, I'm glad he did exactly what he did so we can know about this story, and people who bank at Commerce Bank can be aware of this. And now all of management and the ownership of Commerce Bank are well aware of what happened.
That's right. So they can't play dumb the next time it happens, and it will happen again. Our friend in Enfield, North Carolina, Mayor Mondale, talked about a similar story when he was helping young black men who were dealing with his voter project just simply get accounts. You know, so many are prevented because of this kind of fraudulent activity on the bank's part. Blacks are suspicious and aren't supposed to have anything. Teach your employees better. We have things, including a mouth and lawyers, and apparently they effed around and, well, you know the rest.
That's right. All right. So this is going to be a public relations bill that they did not want, but because they decided to treat Mr. Waller in the way they did, they're going to get it now. We'll bring you updates as it comes. We got more on the other side. It's indisputable. Stick and stay.
I'm old enough that I remember when Captain Crunch put the berries in there.
Yay, crunch berries!
And I was like, ooh, the fake berries.
Remember?
We're gonna try that.
We did a story back in the day about how a woman sued, I don't know, General Mills.
She'd been eating it for 4 years, believing that it was actual berries.
Yeah. She's like, these aren't real berries at all. Yeah. I'm like, I got news for you. Captain Crunch isn't really a captain or a person.
David Sorrell.
Dr. Phil.
Adam Green dropped by.
Charlemagne.
Congressman, great to have you. It's great to be with you, Jack.
Your show is a great thing. You're informing people. A lot of the shows that I live on, you know, my CNN, my MSNBC, and even Fox, and any of the other shows, NPR, they are so quick to decide that they know what this building means today.
The one thing that I hate that politicians do, you know, they talk about the people they should be talking to.
Do they have any idea that they're the establishment and that they're hated, or do they not realize that at all?
People are so deeply in their little universe. I think it's very easy to not really question what you're doing.
Voters have a right to ask questions of any nominee, whether they're independent, Republican, or Democrat.
The system is duopoly that suppresses competition.
How is it the year 2024 and we're still like, maybe they'll talk about paid medical? Like how is that like at one level it's like, good, what we're talking about it now. You're like, it's 2024.
And that's always been the critique, that your critique of us is, well, you guys give good speeches, you put out good tweets, but you're not wielding actual power. Now we're starting to.
Yes. Congratulations on all your success. You guys are everywhere.
It's about a country and a principle, and that's what you and I both worked to achieve, and I'm so glad that at least half the battle has now been won.
If you want to go really hear what's going on, honestly, you should tune into the Young Turks.
Thanks for doing such a great job. Please keep it up. Hang tough.
Yeah.
That makes me so happy.
Oh, I like making you happy. This is a happy Anna Kasparian. You're welcome, YouTube.
I got pulled in. They told me, hey, listen, Cenk, we're insiders. We are the establishment. People in Washington tell me that they're concerned about your tone. we think that there's a better role for you, and it's not in 6 o'clock. The problem with the mainstream media is they're desperate to get access. They don't challenge the government. They don't challenge power. We're supposed to challenge the government. That's the role of the media.
Components that corrupt our politicians, I think, also corrupt mainstream media. It's really difficult for cable outlets to talk about things like income inequality, wealth inequality, when the advertisers that are funding their shows are the same corporations that want to ensure that the same system continues. People watch digital media or new media, they get a completely different message. They focus on the issues that matter or resonate more with the constituency.
We need to know one thing. Is the corporate media incompetent?
Corporate media, I can't hear you. Establishment press, where are you? I can't hear you. But the media's position I am clear on. Everything is pro-war, so everything is just framed that way. In this case, I mean, war is inevitable, right? I mean, the defense contractors should get a couple more $1 trillion.
You ready for the stunning results? Only 6% of people say they have a great deal of confidence in the press. Wakey, wakey, okay? Progressives don't like the media either. You know why? It's the corporate media. Corporate media sounds like a conspiracy. Wait. Who owns you? Multi-billion-dollar corporations, public corporations. You have to do your corporate media because corporations own us. Yeah, that's how it works.
Every time you ring the bell below, there's a bell sound that goes off in Donald Trump's mind. Ring the bell.
TYT is thankful for all of the support we've received from our audience. I know that we're all living through a dark time. The economy is a mess, the two-party system is failing us, and the threat of climate change is growing. Jake started this company in his apartment, and look where we are today. I've experienced what we can accomplish when we work together. So let's keep moving towards positive change. Join our movement at tyt.com/team.
All right, welcome back. Always good to be with you. We have a lot of comments. Let's read a few. I appreciate everyone, okay? All right. Winter Scoop, cops releasing very little details, question mark. That means the cops know they are in the wrong. Yeah. And Cerberus Dragon, soon we're going to have cops called on us for smiling while black at this rate. That's actually happened. It's called suspicious look. Okay. It was smirking. Tanya Laud-Marat, I would find a bank that appreciates my business, stop doing business with people who mistreat you. And that's what he did. He actually closed his personal bank account and then filed the lawsuit against them. All right, got something for you. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish Karen would.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday.
I feel free! Back off! I'm going to tell an African-American man threatening my life.
Whoa! Whoa, shit.
Call the cops!
Put it up full mass. I have the background here. This was not a random driving a car through a facility scenario. The male Karen drove his car through a dealership office intentionally. According to Sergeant Greg Moffitt with the Sandy City Police Department, the man bought the vehicle from the Mazda dealership earlier in the day. This was a Monday. He later called the dealership to return the car, according to the sergeant. While on the phone with the dealership, the man was told that the sale was final and that the car was an as-is purchase. The suspect reportedly threatened that he would drive the car through the dealership's front door if they did not take the car back. Sergeant Muffin said the suspect returned to the dealership around 4 p.m. on Monday and actually drove the car through the front of the dealership. The suspect was arrested and charged with felony criminal mischief and reckless endangerment, according to Moffitt. No injuries were reported from the incident. Put him up again. All right, that's a guy who sticks to a plan. But unfortunately, he didn't stick to the plan of purchasing the vehicle. So there are some dealerships, in some states that will require it. You have a grace period here. I assume that did not apply to this situation. Assume. I don't share and I don't know. He said if they don't take the car back, he's going to drive it through the dealership. Now, I would have said, sir, we're both losing that scenario. Just go ahead and bring the car back. All right, let's see what we can work out.
Yeah. Look, this is a farce, okay? Doc, you could probably pay cash for whatever the vehicle was, but I don't know if people did not recognize you, if you would be allowed to, peel off with any vehicle without everything properly in place. Listen, it was like a standoff. Like you said, cooler heads could have prevailed here. Sir, bring the car back and thank you. And then don't really come back here again, and it would have been fine. That's not what happened. So he brought the vehicle back, period.
Was he holding up the keys?
Is it back? The vehicle's back, right, Doc?
That was very courteous of him. All right. Okay. All right. We'll bring you updates as they come, but it looks like he already calculated he's going to jail that day. Okay. All right. So road rage incident. A racist individual follows a Black mother and daughter home. I want to go to the video, provide some background. Here it is.
Then get away from our house. I don't care where you at. You don't follow people home. You are a white man following two Black women home. Get the out of here. Oh, yeah, DMR 1490. DMR. Got you. Dr. Ashley Gibson. Dr. Ashley Gibson, sir. How are you today? I don't care. How are you? Okay, then goodbye. Goodbye. Let's get a picture together. Hello. Yeah. Hi. Nice to meet you. Let's do it. Let's get it. Believe it or not. Let's get it. You got to back my sister. Takes pictures too. Wonderful. Yeah. Excellent. Take it. Take it. Take the pictures. This 2024. This is. All Jasmine did was go around. All I did was go around your slow ass, and you gonna follow me home?
I got more video. He's hurling racial slurs, followed this woman and her child all the way to their home, gets out of his vehicle, is being aggressive. They are recording him. This is in Texas, by the way. This is happening in Texas. Now, the man's road rage continues after he refuses to leave. He then starts hurling all of the racism. Here it is.
They had to pass me on a public street with kids out there.
So you but no kids out there,
Absolutely.
Ashley.
You're goddamn right I did.
That's not okay.
Yes,
No.
it is okay.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not.
What happened on the road? You don't follow someone to their house.
Okay.
Well, then they don't do what they did. But
Well, we did it. We did it because your slow ass was driving.
Harassment at my home.
Yeah. You was driving slow like a damn turtle.
I back out of my driveway.
I don't give a.
Well,
you
then shut
back
the fuck up, you.
Back up into my mother's house.
Put up the picture for my ass. Somebody gonna claim you, okay? The man claims the woman passed him as he backed out of his driveway onto the road where children were playing. He did not report any car accidents or children struck. Sir, I understand you live in Texas. Trump is coming back into office, but don't let it get you effed up. You followed this woman and her child home. If that would have been my wife and child, I would have dealt with you brutally. You got a pass. I hope somebody in your family does an intervention with you. This may not have been the first time you've done something like this. No one is going to play about their children and their family, sir. Okay? Somebody talk to them. All right, sharing thoughts here.
Yeah, the warning is justified. It's quite valid in this case here. And I'm glad you led with Trump, because here is a person, I won't call him a gentleman, who actually was probably driving slow on purpose and provoking that exchange there where she had to go around him, follows her home and probably is thinking about George Zimmerman and Stand Your Ground and thinking that, well, I can still get away with something.
Yep.
I can still get away with it, right? I followed you. I provoked this entire thing. And then, it's Texas, like it's cousin Florida. I can probably get away with it.
And you make a great point. How many times have they gotten away with it? Plenty.
He's
Plenty.
done this before too, Doc.
Right.
You're right.
Had to. All right. So we'll bring updates if it pops off. All right. We got more on the other side. Stick and stay.
Cenk Uygur is not here today, which means that I will be able to talk during the show. No,
We'll see. We'll see.
Poor Cenk, under the bus.
My God, if Jesus came back, how much would the Republicans hate him? But now you have to give away all of your possessions to the poor. Steve King would be like, oh, Weezy. Everyone should be lucky enough to have a John Iadarola in their life.
You confused everyone.
Okay, sorry. I thought it was pretty clear.
Take a break now.
You can turn me to Dr. Manhattan as long as I get what Dr. Manhattan's packing, okay?
The liberal mom says, Mark Thompson, have you ever thought about doing one of those tapes that soothe people to sleep? Like Mark Thompson reads the phone book. I'd buy it.
If you'll buy it, I'll do it.
Emilio D'Amelio writes in, John, you are so thick. I love you. That's what he wrote.
Pork Chop Express writes in and says John Iadarola needs a new jacket.
Whoa.
Those 24-inch pythons are about to burst out of his sleeve.
Gun, baby. You know, the two people here said that their moms were both in love with you over Beauty and the Beast?
Mm-hmm. That's an improvement. I usually get grandmothers.
Charlie Turk.
No, wait a minute. Don't you dare.
Chemical castration when we return from the break.
I hope that, who they choose for the White House isn't just a borderline Klansman. That's all we gotta hope.
That's it. We will settle it.
She's cute.
I didn't say that about Laura Ingraham.
Scandal at TYT. Did Anna comment on my tan yet? No, she hasn't.
You're a good boss.
But Anna did say that I come in here today with a fresh mind. That's all I'm about. I'm about a fresh mind.
I can't with you right now. Okay?
She just can't. She can't, but nonetheless, we have to for another 3 hours. I'm back, baby. Let's rip into Republicans. See, don't miss the live show.
That's great.
Tell people, if you're a member, you get the whole live show whenever you want, because this stuff doesn't go into any of the clips.
Welcome to the Damage Report. I'm John Iadarola. This is gonna be a big one.
Meanwhile, in the Arctic, you know where this is going. You watch the Damage Report, the Arctic's on fire. Obviously, why would we be talking about the Arctic except to tell you that it's melting once again? The Republicans aren't that interested in it. I wonder why. Lift out of poverty up to 3.7 million people, including an estimated 1.3 million children. Hashtag save the children? Not if it costs money. I mean, come on.
In the bonus episode for members, we do things that are really productive and healthy and good for you, like fruit. Just kidding. We get the inside scoop. Ice cream cam! Come on, man. Come inside the bonus episodes and you're gonna love it. Embarrassing details about our lives. What kind of ice cream we eat. No, way saucier than that. They're tyt.com/team. Get the inside scoop. Ice cream cam!
Hey, I'm John. That's my name. But many of our facilities and equipment here at TYT headquarters are nameless. You can change that. A donation at tyt.com/perks can grant you the naming rights to our stuff. Check out the full list today.
Every time you ring the bell below, there's a bell sound that goes off in Donald Trump's mind. Ring the bell.
TYT is thankful for all the support we've received from our audience. I know that we're all living through a dark time. The economy is a mess, the two-party system is failing us, and the threat of climate change is growing. Jake started this company in his apartment, and look where we are today. I've experienced what we can accomplish when we work together. So let's keep moving towards positive change. Join our movement at tyt.com/team.
All right, welcome back. A lot of show left. Let me read some of these comments. Good stuff. Drums of liberation. Doc, I've been a victim of Overland Park's racist system. My wife was having a miscarriage, and the cops forced me to leave her so I could allow them to search my vehicle because I failed to bring my ID since it was an emergency. Not charged anything, no crime committed, no apology. I had to move to KCMO 30 minutes away to avoid constant DWBs. How can we fix this broken racist system? Remember, systems come down to people. Systems come down to people. You get better people, you get better systems. Never believe that a system is more powerful than the intent or the conscious will of humanity, because systems are the permeation from people. Get better people in there, you get better systems, all right? That's how you do it. CH says, I used to work at a dealership. I wish I could say this is shocking. Come on, don't tell me this is something that happens on a semi-regular basis. I need those videos, if so. All right, okay. Well, here we go again. Black farmers, Black Georgia farmers this time, are reclaiming land stolen by the government, according to the allegation. Put up the picture full mass. Blaine and Diane Smith, a Black farm-owning couple in Georgia, is in the middle of a legal battle to take back a portion of land seized by the state government to be used for a new rail line in a predominantly Black rural community. The Smiths joined multiple property owners in Sparta, Georgia, in filing a joint petition. This is against the Sandersville Railroad Company after the Georgia Public Service Commission approved the business's request to condemn their land to make way for its Hanson Spur project. Now, the Georgia Public Service Commission, let me give you some background to this organization that is a political outfit, by the way. They are elected to 6-year terms in the state of Georgia. Just a handful of them, all right? Georgia used to have at least one Democrat on that commission. Now you have 0. But they basically regulate your power companies, and they are in fact funded by the same power companies that they regulate. It is an insane political scenario. And because they are elected for 6-year terms, and the elections are typically not well covered, not well publicized, a lot of people are unaware of their actual power. Sandersville first filed petition last March to acquire part of the property belonging to another generational landowner in Sparta under the state's eminent domain power, which allows government to take private property for public use, even if property owners don't want to sell. However, the state must justly compensate the owners, and the properties must be condemned before they are seized. Other property owners, including the Smiths, whose parcels would also be required for the spur line, challenged the petition, expressing their desires to retain possession of all their land. Then in July 2023, Sandersville amended its initial request to ask the state to condemn portions of land belonging to all of the property owners who consented its petition. That request was approved April 2024, and the PSC upheld that decision in September. Sandersville noted that the industrial rail line will transport construction materials and agricultural products and reduce the number of trucks that use Hancock County roads to haul these materials. The company also said the spur will create $1.5 million in direct economic impact in the county yearly. Quote, the Hanson Spur, along with the future expansion of the Hanson Quarry, will be the single largest private investment in Hancock County history, bringing more jobs, new opportunities, and added tax revenue to the area, Sandersville website states. However, the Smiths aren't convinced that the project is worth giving up even a small portion of their land where they farm timber crops. Quote, if you listen to the railroad folks, they say, you're keeping your land, we're just taking a little piece of it, Blaine Smith told Atlanta News First. But they're devaluing it. They're defacing it. They're creating hazards through it, according to Sanderville's petition. The company would need 7% of the Smiths' land for the rail line's construction. The group also requested the state allot them between 2 and 7% of other parcels in Hancock County belonging to neighboring property owners. Put up the picture. Blaine Smith said his enslaved ancestors worked the county land he and his wife now own. Quote, my father farmed this land. My grandfather farmed it during most of his life, Smith said. He bought it back in the 1920s. During that time, he raised cotton, corn, peas, and all kinds of vegetables. It's still in the Smith family. Not one piece of it had gotten away. Isn't that something? That kind of legacy, that kind of generational connection, that kind of generational wealth, owning actual real estate, okay? Real property. You own dirt. You own real dirt. You have right to this generational property and wealth. Can pass it on to your children and children's children until somebody says, just give me that. All that work, I'm sure sometimes sacrifices had to be made to keep it. The government that you've been paying taxes to says, now give it to me. Sandersville Railroad Company President Ben Tarbutton said he understands the family's concern about generational legacy. But, quote, the condemnation process is the last resort. The president of the company stated that they have had multiple conversations with landowners and seek to help negotiations open with others who have concerns. According to Atlanta News First, multiple property owners have made deals with Sandersville, but 3 families, including the Smiths, are waiting out their battle with Sanderson and the state. Quote, I go back to what my father said, Blaine Smith said, keep the land. The land gives you respectability. Everybody around here knows this is the Smith land. Let me say something because I've seen some comments about this story. You know, there's some people, believe it or not, there's some people who care more. They care more about life, legacy, connection, honor than money. Yeah, there's some people who care about other things more than money. As a matter of fact, you probably do too. If I were to tell you, you got $1 million, you want $1 million, you can get $1 million right now. But the catch is you got one day to spend it because you're going to die in 24 hours. Unless you give me the $1 million back. Most of you will give the $1 million back. Why? Because you value the experiences of life more than you value the $1 million in the first place. It's an illusion for you to value money more than life. It's an illusion. Okay, the Smiths are being represented by the Institute for Justice, whose attorneys argue that Sandersville is conducting land grabs to build a track for the private use of his partners when the law clearly states the land seized under eminent domain must be for public use. Quote, what the railroad has shown is that this track, if it even comes about, is going to promote the profits and the cost reductions for a couple of private companies, and that's all. That's what the attorney said. Quote, Georgia law does not permit a private company to take land through eminent domain unless the land will be for public use. IJ senior attorney Bill Morris stated in September. Building a rail spur that will only be used by a few private companies and not the public at large is not public use. That's according to U.S. Census records, Hancock County, located in East Central Georgia, home to more than 8,600 people in 2023, roughly 70% of whom are Black, 28.9% are white. What they're trying to do is make a really, really novel and ridiculous argument. They're trying to make an argument that because it frees up congestion in Hancock County, as far as transport is concerned, they're utilizing these proxy arguments as a public use argument. But the attorney is correct. And to nail down what the attorney is saying, and I'm sure this will be nailed down clearer in the future, public use and public benefit are two very different things. What the county is arguing is public benefit. What the law states is public use, all right? We had a lot of discussions about that in law school. Okay, share your thoughts here.
We all know what it is, and you eloquently stated exactly what's going on here. It's the okey doke, it's let me enrich others. We've seen it happen in our fair city here. We've seen it happen everywhere. And thank goodness that they understand that in America, value comes with land and not just monetary, as you pointed out, Doc. If you don't have land, not sure you have much in this country.
Yeah, especially you in a place like Hancock County.
That part.
Yeah, we're going to stay on top of this story. I think it's a good fight and very happy that they are fighting the way they are. Okay, Florida school teacher allegedly utilizes a racist joke during class. Put it up full mass. Florida, DeSoto Middle School. A teacher is accused of joining a group of middle schoolers as they were making racist jokes and chiming into the banner with her own inappropriate racist joke, according to one family's complaint. Emil Foster told NBC2 that the incident happened last month in class. The 11-year-old recounted the moment her teacher, Taylor Wiley, told the joke to her students. And Ms. Wiley goes, hey, y'all want to hear a dark humor joke? What's the difference between a black man and an animal? An animal is there for its family. Yeah, that was the joke. The sixth grader told the outlet she starts laughing like, not a small chuckle, like laughing, end quote. I mean, the children are basically saying, she laughed so hard. We've never seen her laugh this way before. She laughed at her own joke. She was ready to tell that joke. Why? She probably tells that joke around other friends. Other friends just really laugh. These are sixth graders. You're a school teacher. It's extremely racist what you just said. Offensive. There's more. So Amia told the school about what happened, okay? And the DeSoto County School District confirmed that officials had launched an investigation into the allegations. Quote, our internal investigation is ongoing in order to thoroughly understand the facts surrounding the situation. During this process, we are following our established policies to ensure a fair and impartial review, to maintain the integrity of the investigation and to respect the privacy of those involved. We cannot provide details about personnel matters, district officials said. Quote, it was disgusting and hurtful. She needs to realize that her comments have a big impact on people's lives, Amia's mother, Olivia Jones, tearfully said. Quote, don't want this to happen to any other child, Amia said. The middle school switched Amia to a different classroom, and Wiley is no longer her teacher. However, her mother still has concerns about Wiley being an instructor to young kids. That's right, period. Quote, every now and then you come across the article of a child who hung themselves because they've been bullied. We covered that on Indisputable too many times. I don't want that to be a statistic for my daughter, Jones stated. I don't want that to be for nobody. I want bullying to stop, and it's more hurtful coming from a teacher. I don't understand why Taylor thought it was okay to do, but it wasn't. Let's put it up. So the Atlanta Black Star reached out to the DeSoto County School District about the results of the investigation and if the teacher was penalized. Dr. Gina Stafford, the district's director of human resources, told them that officials interviewed Wiley and the students in Amia's classroom and discovered no evidence that the teacher made the alleged joke. Quote, our administration takes any allegation involving inappropriate or insensitive conduct very seriously. When these allegations were reported to us, we immediately began a thorough investigation in order to understand the facts surrounding the situation. Stafford wrote in the statement. We cannot disclose information about employee discipline matters. However, I am able to advise that allegations were found to be unsubstantiated. Additionally, Ms. Wiley is still employed by our district. Put up the principal, David Boland. Dr. David Boland is the principal of DeSoto Middle School. Now, I'm going to say, and keep David's picture up, I'm going to look between the lines of the conclusion, unsubstantiated, okay? Now, this likely means they could not find any additional evidence other than she said, if that makes sense. And in situations like that, it becomes, according to the district, likely a judgment call. Who are they going to believe? So now they can say, well, it's unsubstantiated. We don't have a video. We don't have all of this corroboration. Maybe the joke was told in a more personal, private manner. Maybe other students were told not to be involved. I simply don't believe the children made it up. That's my point. All right. Okay. Sharon, thoughts here.
Kids lie sometimes, but they're not lying about this.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe a lot of things happen. Maybe it shouldn't have been told at all. And maybe you're behaving like a racist pig if you think that's funny, and you shouldn't be around children. How about it's that simple? Let's give the kids the benefit of the doubt for once.
Yeah, there you go. And the description of how the teacher even laughed. It's just too much damn detail for a sixth grader to go into.
That's right.
Right.
They lie about other things. We can tell. We can catch them. Right.
Yeah, there you go.
Not this.
All right. We got more on the other side. It's indisputable. Stick and stay.
Every day, the Young Turks delivers 2 hours of solid, fact-based, timely news and progressive commentary on all the day's most important stories. We keep our viewers informed while also providing perspective and insight on the news we cover, so you understand not only what's happening, but also what's happening behind the scenes, the stories behind the stories.
We play musical chairs and put these children in one awful detention facility to the next. That's what's happening at the border.
The things that got him banned, he's still spreading, so presumably, I think it's reasonable to say that if you allow him back on the website, he's going to do it again.
Any legal voter that we deem not willing to vote for my side shouldn't vote because it'll replace me that's supposed to vote for my side. That's not how voting works. That's not how democracy works.
And while many people following today's political news can get discouraged about the direction of the nation and the world, that's not us. At TYT, we're genuinely optimistic about the future, and with good reason. Today, wide majorities of Americans agree with our progressive stances on issues ranging from healthcare and education to climate, immigration, and wages. The rising generation of young people are also overwhelmingly progressive in their political beliefs and policy objectives, and they're increasingly flexing their muscle as voters and activists to demand change from our elected officials. The traditional mainstream media is mostly AWOL. They, along with the government and many other cherished institutions, have been captured by corporate interests. Audiences sense that they're not getting the whole story, or even the truth from once trusted outlets, whether broadcast and cable TV news networks or national newspapers and magazines. The antidote is the Young Turks. Unlike mainstream corporate outlets, we're not beholden to corporate advertisers, to defense contractors, to Wall Street, or to Big Pharma, and we don't carry water for the Republican or Democratic parties. So watch us Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, and join the thousands of progressives around the globe who tune in every day for TYT's unmatched, award-winning content and see what it's like to experience a news organization that only answers to you.
All I ask of you going forward is keep fighting forward, okay? But we don't fight with arms and physical and any of that, right? We fight with love, we fight with peace, we fight with hope and belief and faith in one another. And we do that's right with knowledge and facts and truth and things that are real. Objective reality matters. So much of our audience is scientists, teachers, engineers, data analysts, people who believe in objective reality, right? So thank you guys for believing in that. Thank you for believing in hope, and thank you for making it happen. I appreciate all of you. Thank you.
TYT is thankful for all the support we've received from our audience. I know that we're all living through a dark time. The economy is a mess, the two-party system is failing us, and the threat of climate change is growing. I started this company in my apartment, and look where we are today. I've experienced what we can accomplish when we work together. So let's keep working towards positive change. Join our community at tyt.com/team.
TYT has been around for over 2 decades, and we don't plan on stopping anytime soon. We want to continue providing our audience with fact-based reporting, insightful commentary, and thought-provoking analysis. But times have changed. We're fighting an uphill battle against overbearing social media companies and their anti-news algorithms. We need viewers like you to become members to ensure our future. Join us at tyt.com/team.
What's that you're looking at? Scan around and
All right, welcome back. Always good to be with you. Got a lot of comments to read. And don't forget, always check out Indisputable, the podcast. If you miss us here, don't fret. We are virtually on every podcast. All right, so make sure you check us out. You can go to Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts, search Indisputable, click follow, and rate us with 5 stars if you enjoy the program, okay? All right. Yep. Purple Rain Dragon says they can't stand that type of legacy for Black folks. They can't let that stand. Curtis J. Rashad, you are truly missed on the radio in the mornings. Can't even listen to that station anymore. Thank you for being on TYT. Well, thank you. More things popping in 2025. So stand by. I appreciate the compliment. Love 18 White Girl. Florida ranks close to last in education and close to first in racism, hand to hand, ignorance and ignorance, right? And Flooded by _Dragon, I had to homeschool my kids here in Tampa, Florida, because the teacher and administrators bullying my boys. You know, I got to tell you this: you did the right thing. It's not worth to make a point to a school. It's not worth the social development of your child. Okay. There are other ways to fight. We've seen too many children that we've reported on at Indisputable who have attempted to unalive themselves, who have been scarred for life, and some of them who actually did unalive themselves because of the social bullying taking place at the school system. And much of it was by the allowance or was driven by the very people who are supposed to be there to serve them and protect them. All right. Okay. Well, this is interesting. MAGA veteran finds out Trump's policies affects his insurance. Here it is.
So I'm in Walgreens, and there's this guy in front of me who's all decked out in his MAGA gear, the one with the daddy's home, and he's getting his prescriptions. So the lady behind the counter that's helping him lets him know, sir, I've noticed that you have TRICARE as your insurance, and I'm just letting you know you should be getting a letter in the mail that we are no longer going to be contracted through them at the end of this month. He said, what do you mean? And she said, sir, there are a whole lot of administrative changes that are going to be going on, and Walgreens, the company, is unsure of what contracts through the VA, what contracts for the military are going to be revised or pulled. He said, you know, the only thing that I live off of right now is my VA and my Social Security. And I looked at him and I said, they're going to be taking your Social Security too. And I looked down at his shirt and I looked back up at him. I said, you know, from one veteran to another, Daddy doesn't give a if you have your medicine or not.
Elections have consequences, right? And so basically, the point is this: you don't vote for people. It looks like you do, but you don't. You vote for policies. But if you pay attention to the person, more so than you pay attention to the policies they represent, you will vote wrong every time. Politics is a policy game, We've made it very person-driven, personality-driven. And because of that, Donald Trump, he was able to run an election without talking about any specific policy whatsoever. But all of his surrogates, they did. They told you what policies they were bringing. They said what they were going to cut, what their priorities were, what the priorities were not. It is a sad reality that the vast majority of people who voted for Trump actually voted against their own self-interest pound for pound. And you're going to see a lot of these realizations start to take place once he's sworn in and beyond. Sharon, what do you think about this?
I don't understand what's taking people so long. Remember, we've talked on this show before. President Johnson warned you. If we just divide them, give the lowest white man, I believe you phrased it, someone to look down upon, you can pick his pockets. He'll give you every cent he has. So look under the hood, look at the policies, and then things won't be so confusing at the Walgreens counter.
There you go. And I remember back during my Democratic Party days in Georgia, we did a poll, and this was before the Trump era. Before the Trump era, it was all about Obamacare, right? They made Obamacare this big evil. That's what the Republicans did. So we sent out a poll to Georgia voters about Obamacare. Do you agree or disagree with Obamacare, right? The vast majority, we were at about, 75, 71%. It was a high number said against it, okay? Really high number. I said, my goodness. And then we sent those same people a follow-up poll. And instead of calling it Obamacare, we simply provided what Obamacare would do for healthcare policy. The number virtually reversed to where over 70% of those same respondents said, yes, now that I'm in favor for. And it proved to us that having a Black male as the messenger created a different way that the message was accepted by those voters. It was quite the same, but that's
just one follow-up question, if I can, Doc. And it doesn't matter because they recognize the name Obama, but did you put his picture on there too?
Did what?
Did you put Obama's picture on the flyer?
No,
the first one that you sent out. Just the name was enough.
It was just the name. Republicans did a great job at misbranding it. All right. And so now you get a Trump comes in afterwards. He's picked up on the game. He realizes, oh, hell, these folks are just voting for brands.
He didn't
and so
invent
Trump
nothing.
becomes a major brand, leaves out details, becomes president of the United States. All right. We got more on the other side. It's indisputable. Stick and stay.
I'm old enough that I remember when Captain Crunch put the berries in there.
Yay, crunch berries!
And I was like, ooh, the fake berries.
Remember?
We're gonna try that.
We did a story back in the day about how a woman sued, I don't know, General Mills.
She'd been eating it for 4 years, believing that it was actual berries.
Yeah. She's like, these aren't real berries at all. I'm like, I got news for you. Captain Crunch isn't really a captain or a person.
David Sorrell.
Dr. Phil.
Adam Green dropped by.
Charlemagne.
Congressman, great to have you. It's great to be with you, Chang.
Your show is a great thing. You're informing people. A lot of the shows that I live on, my CNN, my MSNBC, and even Fox, and any of the other shows, NPR, they are so quick to decide that they know what this building means today.
The one thing that I hate that politicians do, they talk about the people they should be talking to.
Do they have any idea that they're the establishment and that they're hated? Or do they not realize that at all?
People are so deeply in their little universe. I think it's very easy to not really question what you're doing.
Voters have a right to ask questions of any nominee, whether they're independent, Republican, or Democrat.
The system is duopoly that suppresses competition.
How is it the year 2024 and we're still like, maybe they'll talk about paid medical? Like how is that like at one level it's like, good, what we're talking about it now. You're like, It's 2024.
And that's always been the critique, that your critique of us is, well, you guys give good speeches, you put out good tweets, but you're not wielding actual power. Now we're starting to.
And congratulations on all your success. You guys are everywhere.
It's about a country and a principle, and that's what you and I both work to achieve. And I'm so glad that at least half the battle has now been won.
If you want to go really hear what's going on honestly, you should tune into the Young Turks.
Thanks for doing such a great job. Please keep it up. Hang tough.
Yeah.
That makes me so happy.
Oh, I like making you happy. This is a happy Anna Kasparian. You're welcome, YouTube.
I got pulled in. They told me, hey, listen, Cenk, we're insiders. We are the establishment. People in Washington tell me that they're concerned about your tone. We think that there's a better role for you, and it's not in 6 o'clock. The problem with the mainstream media is they're desperate to get access. They don't challenge the government. They don't challenge power. We're supposed to challenge the government. That's the role of the media.
Components that corrupt our politicians, I think, also corrupt mainstream media. It's really difficult for cable outlets to talk about things like income inequality, wealth inequality, when the advertisers that are funding their shows are the same corporations that want to ensure that the same system continues. People watch digital media or new media, they get a completely different message. They focus on the issues that matter or resonate more with the constituency. We need to know one thing. Is the corporate media incompetent?
Corporate media, I can't hear you. Establishment press, where are you? I can't hear you. But the media's position I am clear on. Everything is pro-war, so everything is just framed that way. In this case, I mean, war is inevitable, right? I mean, the defense contractors should get a couple more $1 trillion.
You ready for the stunning results? Only 6% of people say they have a great deal of confidence in the press. Wakey, wakey, okay? Progressives don't like the media either. You know why? It's the corporate media. Corporate media sounds like a conspiracy. Wait. Who owns you? Multi-billion-dollar corporations, public corporations. You have to fear corporate media because corporations own us. Yeah, that's how it works.
Every time you ring the bell below, there's a bell sound that goes off in Donald Trump's mind. Ring the bell.
TYT is thankful for all of the support we've received from our audience. I know that we're all living through a dark time. The economy is a mess, the two-party system is failing us, and the threat of climate change is growing. Cenk started this company in his apartment, and look where we are today. I've experienced what we can accomplish when we work together. So let's keep moving towards positive change. Join our movement at tyt.com/team.
All right, welcome back. A lot of show left. Always good to be with you. Let me read some of these amazing comments. I appreciate everyone for joining the conversation. Yep. Right. Donald James X says, Trump ain't even inaugurated yet, and people can feel it. That's right. Jackal Dragon 1991. See, that's what these Trump supporters don't get. They think this whole 4 years is going to be in their favor. They think this is the time. They're going to be like, yeah, finally, what we want is going to happen. But they don't realize what they are freaking parading about is going to hurt them. Yeah. Velvet Goldmine, we tried to warn them, but they would not listen. That's correct. Love 18 White Girl already can't get a VA prescription filled at Walgreens. There you go. It's very sad, isn't it? All right. Well, legendary poet Nikki Giovanni passes away at the age of 81. Legendary is an understatement. Here's a portion of a conversation with James Ball.
If I love you, I can't lie to you.
Of course you can lie to me, and you will. If you love me and you're going off with Maddie someplace, you're lying to me. Because what the hell do I care about the truth? I care if you're there. But Billie Holiday say, hush now, don't explain.
All right, I accept that.
Of course you lie to me, because I don't even want to care. What does the truth matter? And why are you going to be truthful with me when you lie to everybody else? You lied when you smiled at that down the job, right? Lie to me, smile. Treat me the same way you would treat him.
I can't treat you the way I treat him.
You must. Because I've caught the frowns and the anger. He's happy with you. Of course he doesn't know you're unhappy. You grin at him all day long. You come home and I catch hell because I love you. I get least of you. I get the very minimum. And I'm saying, fake it with me. Is that too much of the black woman to ask of the black man?
Man, she Jedi mind trick James Baldwin on that one. That was a classic. All right, put up the picture full mass here. Remarkable wordsmith, but also remarkable heart. Could understand things in very nuanced ways. Made you think. On Monday, the legendary poet, writer, commentator, activist, and educator passed away at the age of 81. According to WDJB News, this icon passed away peacefully with her partner, Virginia Jenny Flower, close by. There was a previous battle with cancer and complications from a most recent bout with lung cancer is what led to her passing, according to the New York Times. Born June 7, 1943, Knoxville, Tennessee. This lovely American poet enjoyed a career that lasted more than 5 decades. In her early years, they were enveloped in closeness to her African-American heritage and love for literature. She entered Fisk University's early entrant program, beginning college in Nashville, Tennessee, before completing her high school studies. At Fisk, she edited the student literary magazine, renewed the campus chapter of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, and went on to graduate with honors with a BA in history in 1967. By the late 1960s, Giovanni was established as one of the leading voices in Black arts movement and had become known as, quote, poet of the Black Revolution. Her first volumes of poetry, Black Feeling, Black Talk in 1968 and Black Judgment in 1968 were unapologetically bold, militant, and powerful calls to racial and social justice. Throughout her career, she also penned many poetry anthologies, children's books, and spoken word albums. Her autobiographical, Nikki Rosa, poem has been reprinted in numerous collections. Her versatility as a writer was reflected in works such as Spin a Soft Black Song in 1971 and Ego Trippin' and Other Poems for Young People, 1973, which showed she could write for a younger audience while still tackling challenging themes. I want to say the beauty of her intersection of brilliance is that her intent, her focus was to always push for justice. So she incorporated that intent in her work. Legendary, once again, understatement, all right? Sharing thoughts here.
Yeah, you said it. Words matter. And boy, did she make every word count, compassionate, as you said, just a force. May she rest in power. She's going to be missed.
That's right. Well said. All right. Sharon, always a pleasure having you on the program. Tell people how they can follow you and continue checking out your great work.
Appreciate you more, Doc. In the Black Network, of course, Rebel HQ, very proud of what we've been able to do this year there. And I appreciate your support always.
We appreciate all you do and all your leadership. Great content as always. More in 2025, obviously. All right. Remember, take care of yourself, take care of each other, take care of the planet. Remember, the truth is always indisputable.